When David got the call from the hospital, he was about to ignore it. His father wasn't the kind of man who asked for help or gave warmth easily, but he took the call, and a few days later, in the quiet corners of an old garage, David would discover something his father had never managed to say out loud. David was brushing his teeth when the call came. Unknown number. He let it go to voicemail, spat in the sink, then checked the transcript with half interest. This is St. Luke's Medical. Your father, Frank, was brought in this morning with chest pain. He asked for you. Room 216. He stared at the wall, not because he was shocked, but because he didn't know how he felt. That was the usual pattern when it came to his dad. A pause, a gut check, then nothing clear enough to name. He called in late to work, got in the car, and drove. The hospital room smelled like, well, how hospitals smell. Frank was sitting up, pale and grouchy, TV on mute. "I'm not dying," he said by way of greeting. "That's good to hear," David said. "You look like hell." Frank snorted. "Beats looking like you." David set down the grocery bag he'd brought. Ginger ale, a pack of pistachios, and one of those Sudoku books Frank used to keep in the bathroom. "You didn't have to come. You asked for me. I was doped up. Could have been asking for Mickey Mouse." David sat in the vinyl chair. He wanted to leave already. By the time Frank was discharged 2 days later, David had agreed, rather reluctantly, to stay with him a few nights. The doctor said it would be good for Frank to have someone around. Someone to make sure he didn't climb ladders, try to run a marathon, or eat 3 bratwursts in one sitting. Not that Frank would listen. Back at the house, nothing had changed. Same dusty recliner. Same old thermostat stuck on 68. Same faint bitterness in the air, like a house that had boiled over once and never got fully cleaned. "You could open a window," David said. Frank waved a hand. "You always say that. Air's fine." The next morning, David cooked eggs. "You're scrambling them too fast." Frank muttered from the table. "You beat the air out." David looked up. "I'm beating the air out?" "Yeah, if you go too fast. Want to do it yourself?" "I'm just saying." Later, Frank noted David's incorrect towel folding, David's choice of comb, and finally how he sat on the couch. "You slump like you're melting," Frank said. David stared at him. "Do you even like having me here?" Frank blinked. "I didn't ask you to come." "No," David said. "You just asked for me when you thought you were dying." Frank looked at the TV. "Old habits," he mumbled. "People ask for what they know." That night, David woke up at 2 a.m. He wandered into the garage, half curious, half resentful. Most of the tools were still hung in perfect order. Frank's sacred geometry. We walked past shelves lined with old paint cans, tools arranged like relics, the faint smell of oil and wood glue. Then something caught his eye at the work table. A small, framed photo tacked above the tool rack. Dusty, but deliberately placed. It was of the two of them. David couldn't have been older than 8. Sitting on Frank's shoulders, grinning like he'd just won something. Frank's face was half squint, half smile, caught mid-laugh, one arm bracing the boy's legs. David stood there a while. It wasn't the kind of photo you hung to impress company. This was for no one. Just Frank. Just memory for a man with a heart filled with regret. In the morning, Frank was already in the kitchen. "You don't have to make breakfast," David said. "I wasn't. I was just..." Frank held up a loaf of sourdough. "You want some?" David nodded. Frank began slicing. "Don't put too much pressure on the tip," David said. "You'll crush the bread." Frank glanced up, caught the joke, and let out a quiet chuckle. First one in a long time. They ate together. No music, no news, just the sound of knives on plates and the small, quiet space between two people trying not to break the moment. After a few minutes, Frank cleared his throat. You could stay another day, if you want. David took a sip of coffee, then nodded. Yeah, I think I will.